Hi everyone, we have a bifurcated market once again with the Dow Jones Industrial Average hitting another new high, putting in back-to-back pocket pivot points on above average volume. Um, I would think that this means that the Dow Jones Industrial Average is about to take off and zoom higher, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens, but I would think that this is a very bullish development. S&P 500 also inches away from a new high, New York Stock Exchange too. These indexes look fine. The NASDAQ, however, once again came off that early morning strength and sold off. And even though there was a little bit of intraday support, the close was weak, volume was higher. So to me, this is not a good day overall. And it would be indicative of churning, especially the confirmation of that would be with the Russell 2000 down 0.20%. And even though it's closing basically where it was yesterday, you can see we're right at the 50-200-day moving average, and if we break down below that, all bets are off. And that looks increasingly higher because the XBI and IBB followed through the downside today, which means I want to increase my short position in the biotech stocks because full sell BIIB followed through. HZMP, even though it's not biotech stock, acts like it is, broke down below the 50-day moving average. CELG continues to reverse off its highs. ALXN is breaking down. ARWR, AXDX followed through on its breakdown. So I have enough evidence out there looking around that some weakness should be expected. ARNA following through. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2.5% of my account capital to that, which will make me 5% long BIS, relatively 15% short the biotech sector. On top of that, though, I also have long signals. Neither one are great, but they're both really good. The problem with both of the earnings are coming up, obviously, but DHI, we have only 5 days to know if we're right or wrong. So DHI, what I'm going to do, what I suggest, that 20 and 10-day moving average that it just got above, if it closes below the 20-day moving average at all before earnings, no matter what, it's a 50% sell. And if it closes below 24.19, I'll be out of all of it. And I say that you can use the 23.95 level. Man, I'm being super generous, and that's if you really think this thing can gap up. So DHI, because of that, and I mean there's strength everywhere in this sector. There was just full-on confirmation. XHB, yeah, ITB kind of shows it too. Toll, MTH, I believe was another one. Yeah, so I saw, confirmation everywhere. DHI appears to be the strongest out of all of them, so I'm going to go with that one to add some beta to the alpha selection of the sector. If it fails, it fails. If it works, great. Viable gap up, possibly if we move sideways and it gaps higher. If it gaps down, we won't risk much because we'll get our time stop out of the way if it does not move higher. And then the other long position is RSE. RSE, as you can see in this long-term chart, since its move off the highs lower, it has traded extremely tight. And even on the next leg down, March into April into May, you can see tight trading on the way down. Finally started to make some higher lows. Tight trading again throughout June and July. And now volume is really drying up as we move in to look at a more close-up picture of it. Big accumulation, lower volume pullback. It appears now that it's trying to flatten out and round out, and if that's the case, I'm going to try to get long this stock early ahead of a breakout, which I believe based on this pattern it will do. So I'm going to get long 5% of my account capital in RSE. If I'm wrong, 1732 isn't too far away, and if you're really brave, you can use 1718. Once again, the trailing 20-day moving average, if it falls below it ahead of earnings, sure, you can go ahead and cut your loss, and in fact I probably will too. But just remember, this is a more solid stock. We have a longer time before earnings. I believe they're on August the 4th, so we should have plenty of time to know if RSE's working right or not. And the REITs continue to do well. Out of all my recent longs, these are the only ones still doing relatively very well without any kind of hiccups along their uptrends whatsoever. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and end it at that. Things look okay in the market, but not great. Dow Jones Industrial Average looks great. S&P 500 New York Stock Exchange looks solid. NASDAQ's holding on, and the Russell looks very weak with our leading biotech sector looking extremely bad.